All right, so here we have Donald Trump. What a difference a year makes. Last year, he of course was giving the speech, and in Butler, Pennsylvania, Thomas Crooks, a psycho, anti-white psycho, decided he was going to murder Donald Trump. Why? Because Donald Trump's not anti-white enough. And by the grace of God, Trump's head was not exploded, so he was assassinated. But for the grace of God, the Secret Service had at Butler and at many, many other rallies that Trump held, had done the least that they could possibly, let's put it this way, they had done the most that they could do to get Donald Trump killed. And of course, that's because of anti-whiteism. The Secret Service is staffed by what kind of beings? Can someone help me? Can someone help me out here? What kind of beings staff the Secret Service? Because if they're staffed by people, if they've got people, then the people have been brain poisoned with anti-whiteism. And they live in an anti-white milieu. And the social morality is the anti-white immoral metric. So the Secret Service did everything they could to allow Donald Trump to be murdered at every single opportunity. All the way down, even after this, into unconscionably Florida in September, where the other assassin, Ruth, set up his scope, and then a female, and this is not widely, has not been widely shared. It should be. A female got into a brief shooting exchange from like 10 feet away and missed him. Now, all of the females screwing up, and the one female right here on your screen that actually did her job. Now, do you see anything wrong? Do you see anything troubling? Yes, she's actually not hiding. She actually ran up there and put herself around Donald Trump like she's supposed to. Oh, I see the problem. She's 5 feet tall. So a white man who was tall enough for his brain and skull to receive the bullet rather than Donald Trump, he was white erased so that this little girl could be in there. Well, she is now, did you all know this? She is celebrated like she is Sheba. She is celebrated like a god on earth. Everywhere she goes in the Secret Service, there are going to be there are already legends being made, songs being made about this woman. Why? Because she just did her job. White guys, when has that happened for you? Yet again, another psychological trauma inflicted on white males. You can be the best, as I have been, in work environment after work environment, and none of it matters. Not only does it not matter, that just makes you invidious because you're a white guy and you're doing what all the white guys do. You're winning again. Stop being the best. Stop being and doing the best. So it makes you hated for actually being and doing the best. And then we have to sit back and watch as 5 foot tall little girls who just did their job. Like she didn't dive Superman style to catch a bullet in front of Trump, mouth open maybe, because that's where she would catch it best. You know, she didn't do that, did she? Now that would be something. She just did the job. And so for just doing the job. She's now treated like a queen. I guarantee you're going to hear more about this Secret Service agent in the years to come. I guarantee you. There might even be a new office building that goes up named after her. Bet me. What does this do for the white guys who are participating? Why do your job? You could do your job 10 times better, and you're not going to be celebrated like that. And in the final analysis, you could blow Donald Trump away right there from this side. The other side, not so much. From this side, no problem. Unless you're trying to shoot his dork off. I mean, maybe that's also a kind of a question that should be asked. Why is her head so close to his dork? Isn't that kind of curious? Is that a natural reflex for her? Just straight to the dork? Stress! Straight for the dork. So, you'll be hearing more about her. I'm going to move on with this. But what a difference a year has made. This is the iconic moment when this man showed how much of a badass under stress he could be. He gets hit with a rifle bullet at 3,300 feet per second. He's bleeding. He has no idea how bad it is. He doesn't know where else he could be shot. He stands up. He won't let them carry him away in a stretcher. He stands up, won't even let them walk off the stage before he yells, fight, fight, fight. Juxtaposition that energy with what must be holding his hand back today when it comes to Epstein. This guy didn't know where he was shot, how many times he was shot, if there were more shooters, if the current shooter had been neutralized. He didn't know any of that. As far as he knew, the very next millisecond, he was going to be at the pearly gates. Or worse, guts blown out and pain coursed through him that is beyond human imagination. No idea. And he's not a little girl, so you know it's a moment of bravery. If you don't know the danger, then you're not brave. He clearly understood the danger. His brain could completely embrace the danger. And yet, he stayed on the stage. What is keeping him from telling the world about Jeffrey Epstein? Now, if at some point he had engaged in something that it was untoward by way of Epstein, maybe not a child, but maybe a young woman, would that be enough? I don't know. I'm inclined to think that he wouldn't. There were all kinds of stories about Donald Trump long before he was a contender for president. The mafia going to him, and the Italian mafia, at least, well, whatever of it is actually Italian, as in Lansky. A lot of Siegel, a lot of non-Italians in that Italian mafia. But no, nevertheless, the Italian mafia, La Cosa Nostra, they went to him and they said, they will give you, whatever you want. You give us whatever and he said, no, thanks. I'll do business with you, but I'm not going to be really entwined with you. And the mafia said, okay, that's fine with us. We understand. That's the right decision. There were all kinds of stories about people going to Trump with cash payments for things. And Trump said, nope, not going to take cash. You're going to put it into a check, cashier's check. The bank is going to know. And they were like, are you crazy? This is better off the books. And he's like, cashier's check. So I'm inclined to think that this guy was always thinking about the bigger picture and not the moment. And so I think it's unlikely that he would even have been with a 19-year-old or something, and he was much older. But if it's not that, then what is it? President Donald Trump shared a riveting video showing scenes of his life and career in the private sector and politics on the first anniversary of his near assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania on Sunday. Minute and 31-second clip shows footage from Trump's career or mythical story building up on July 13, 2024, when he was shot in the ear during a campaign rally in Butler. 1 year ago today, an assassin opened fire on President Trump. The bullet hit, but for the grace of God, he stood up, bloodied, unbowed, and he fought harder. It was so inspiring. It was so moving for real men or guys aspiring to be men. There was and this is something that females are not going to be able to understand, a moment of like self-hatred watching this because we couldn't be there in the fight. And that's a completely normal, healthy, and valuable sentiment. So if you felt that, guys, don't feel like you were feeling something wrong. That means that you potentially can be a hero. That means you potentially could be a man of the West. After displaying Trump's show of defiance, where he raised his fist in the air and pumped it repeatedly as blood poured from his ear, the video features audio from his speeches through the years. Just 3 days after the attempt, many Americans told Breitbart News they believed divine providence was at hand and that fateful day in Western Pennsylvania. One woman said, Trump is an instrument of God. A guy said, we saw the hand of the good Lord protect him. That we did. I mean, it's clearly the case. Nothing else. And that would be how a creator would operate. But here we are 1 year later with all of these expectations, and there's been progress. There has been setback. There are definitely reasons to complain. We're not seeing quite what we would want to see. And then cucks and supporters, no matter what, are saying, well, be happy with a little bit that you're getting. But we're seeing some things that are really upsetting, like the fact that these conspiracies, these events, Jeffrey Epstein, Thomas Crooks himself, are being covered up. And so questions are being asked by a lot of people. Secret Service failed to discipline agent at the heart of security breakdown in Trump assassination attempt, report finds. U.S. Secret Service failed to discipline the agent at the heart of the security failures that allowed a gunman to take eight shots at President Trump during the July 13, 2024 campaign rally, according to a damning new Senate report. The agent was allegedly warned by local cops and would-be assassin Thomas Crooks 25 minutes before Trump was shot. So you're looking at half an hour. You're setting aside here everything else that leads up to that. There's a building there that obviously needed to be covered, obviously needed agents on it, because it had a direct line of sight. It was with 300 yards away, an easy shot, but for the grace of God, with a rifle, and nothing was done. Multiple Secret Service agents looked at the rally site, and nothing was done to address the issue. Why? Well, we alluded to it earlier, and on Friday when we had our get together, brief get together, brief, I guess it was still 3 hours or so long, that these agents are anti-white. So they didn't care. They didn't care. They don't care. They still don't care. Anti-whiteism has not been cured. Anti-whiteism is still the social morality of Western civilization. This is an aberration. Donald Trump, this term is an aberration. He's even an aberration to Donald Trump before this term. So these people that he's putting in office, etc., this is an aberration. It won't last. The only way to make lasting change is to address the social morality of Western civilization. That morality, immorality for us, has defeated everything that has gone before. So we can't return to it with something that has gone before and been defeated by it and think we can contend with it. We have to take something new. And this practice, the Go Free dialogic, defeats, it supplants the anti-white immoral imperative of the West with a white positive morality. We've been demonstrating it for decades. So the Secret Service is still anti-white. How many agents ended up looking? How many agents were out there? How about the actual agents who were just in the field? Who end up out there in the field, and you've already had the bosses come in and say, no need to cover this rooftop. And these agents get out there in the field, and they look at the rooftop, and it's empty. Why aren't they saying what's going on? Why aren't they raising a red flag? Why aren't they setting off the alarms? There's been no evidence that anybody did that. Were they all bought off? No, they're just anti-white. When you create gravity, water just runs downhill. That's how this works. No need to imagine. You see the kind of error that was made with these fantastical stories about smart cities and Agenda 2030. You see the colossal error. By the way, not a single tweet. I haven't seen a single tweet. I haven't been recommended a single video. I haven't gone out and looked for them from this multitude of content creators who all said that LA was being burnt to the ground for Agenda 2030 at Schwab and Smart City, and it's all figured out. Don't talk about it anymore. None of them have come back to say, oh, wow, Jason, you and that white well-being crew were right. You guys were you were the right one. They're putting in non-white housing in these formerly almost entirely white upper middle class areas. It's not smart city. It's ghetto town. None of them showed back up. You don't have to imagine, and anybody trying to lead you away from the most obvious answer, the one that is productive for us, they're problematic and you need to cut them off. Anybody trying to say, oh, it's got to be some sort of a giant scheme where every single agent is paid off and every single by who? Israel, by, it's all of this gigantic, you just need it to be anti-white and you're going to get this outcome. But then, of course, we find out in this tepid investigations that have followed, nothing. We thought when Donald Trump was elected, we were going to have the instant answers on what's going on with the Secret Service. No answers, just like Epstein. But you find out in this tepid investigation by Congress that the leadership were even told about Crooks 30 minutes before he got up there and assassinated Trump. And then we find out, and Donald Trump, why isn't this guy freaking out? Why isn't this guy screaming like his head is on fire about the Secret Service getting him murdered. Instead, he's like, meh. He's insouciant about his own life. It's like, well, it happened in the past. Secret Service failed to discipline the agent at the heart of the security failures that allowed a gunman to take 8 shots at President Trump. Told 25 minutes earlier, the investigation into everything that went wrong. What about, why did we never get, do you remember how everyone was, certainly we were talking about the snipers that would have been locked in on crooks? They would not have suddenly found crooks. You know, because you're not finding a sniper that easily, that rapidly. You're locked in on crooks. So there was a or more snipers looking directly at crooks, and he was in the crosshairs, and their finger was on the trigger. Why were they waiting? Why didn't we get their names? Do you remember this? We still don't have their names. Why aren't those agents in prison? They were facilitating the assassination. No names, no prison, no punishment. Some of the agents got vacations without pay. Big deal. All working class families go on vacations without pay. So vacation without pay. And the leadership promoted. And not only that, given better titles than they previously had. Under Donald Trump's tenure. This is stupefying. It's intoxicating. Like the aroma at a cattle farm. What is going on? The agent was allegedly warned by cops and about the would-be assassin. The investigation into everything that went wrong at the rally, published on the anniversary of the attack, concluded that the Secret Service suffered multiple unacceptable failures. It's not an unacceptable failure. It is intentional anti-whiteism. It is disregard caused by anti-whiteism. It is ineptitude caused by the anti-whiteism that results in the white erasure of white males from roles that they deserve because of their innate talents, because of the dues that they've paid, because of their superior performance that they're hated for. So from start to finish, it's anti-whiteism. Just like fucking LA. Just like fucking LA. I almost said some names. Just like in LA. It's anti-whiteism from start to finish. Not Agenda 2030. Fucking crane-looking, emaciated bitches out there. The leaders at the center of the scandal have never been appropriately punished, said Senator Rand Paul, chair of the Homeland Security Committee. So there he is. Doesn't he look like just a great statesman? White race picking their leaders. This guy is a woman. This is what we get into office. Women of both sexes. He looks like one of my aunts when she was, in her 80s. That's what this looks like. That's what the sewing circle votes for. You're not going to get anybody masculine like me elected to any office that has any power. Because the females or the sewing circles are out there. Oh, no, he makes me feel scared and turned on at the same time. I'm not voting for that. And with how pathetic so many of the white males have become, they're all boys. They're just looking to get jealous. I mean, for fuck's sake, look across the white sympathetic sphere of content creators online. I'm getting a little fired up. Look at across it there. And instead of saying, wow, I recognize, like when I recognize somebody who's an ass kicker, it doesn't invalidate me at all. because I'm secure in who and what I am. But the vast majority of the white boys out there, they get all insecure. They get all jealous. Just look at them. They're everywhere. They're everywhere with the most baseless criticisms of their better. Why is it important that we recognize that all of this is caused by anti-whiteism? Why is it? Even this guy getting elected. Why is it important? For copious reasons, my friends. Copious. So you can be a good lad and lass and just obey what's working for people who implement the strategy, or you can be an effronterous turd and you can say, oh, but my opinion, you have an opinion and I have an opinion. You could do that. You could do that and you can just yourself off because your opinion hasn't been changing shit. Your opinion is reflected in what's gone before and failed. It's important for one of the biggest reasons is that it centers our people. It says that what's important about this story is us and our well-being. What's important about these outcomes, what's important about the event is us and our well-being. That's what members of a people do. I know it's complicated for the white race. All of you vegetated ditzes out there. I know it's complicated, but that's what works. That's what works for all of the other groups and will work for us as well. Not only that, but we are right. We are right. LA burnt because of anti-whiteism, white erasing the competent white males, not cultural Marxism wanting to achieve radical equity and therefore blindly choosing among the races which people are going to be elevated so there can be a little bit of every group. That's not what fucking happens. The white males are thrown out. And then it's kind of interesting. White males create systems that white males operate and sustain. And then when you get rid of the white males, these things stop operating properly. How is that a surprise? So there are many reasons why we put ourselves at the center of every story. Why we see somebody like this and we are able to mention how it's problematic that we have so many sewing circle of women of both sexes voting that you end up with absolute midget-sticked, limp-wristed, Aunt Betty here to be your great defender. That's a problem. That's a problem that we should speak to. We should talk about this. If we don't talk about it from the position of our people being what's important, the center of the story, not an abstract America, like the cucks will tell you, like we were just looking at, an abstract America that continues to get white erased as all of the other groups are not abstract, but really tangible peoples, that the cucks will agree with them on that. If we become a people, a percentage of the white race, we can address problems like this. We can get actual heroes in office who will say, unlike Bongino, unlike Cashin Patel, get actual white men in there that will say, I'm going to take the job, and that means might be putting my life at risk, might be putting my children's lives at risk. Oh, well, that's what this job requires. And if I don't want it, I'll go flip burgers. But if I'm going to take this job, that means my kids' lives are on the line too. It sounds hard and harsh, doesn't it? Well, that's the reality of facing the jungle, my friends. That's the real world. And if you're not prepared for the jungle, the real world, then get back in the nursery room, Stop climbing up on the wall. You're not welcome. You're harmful. What could have happened, I ask you, with Donald Trump? Now that they are burning MAGA gear across the United States, what could have happened? Well, instead of hiring two brown guys, because the white population of cucks out there can't get enough of brown guys, instead of hiring Kashin Patel and Dan, not the man, Bongino, he had hired white, robust, heroic men of the West. What might they have come up to? Well, I wondered that last night, and I gave it a full 10 seconds of thinking. And you know what a white man would have said, man of the West, in either of those roles when he came into the office and found out, oh my gosh, there are no records for Epstein. They're gone. They're missing. Or somebody comes down to them and says, this is what you're going to say. You're going to say they're missing. A man of the West would have gone out to the public and he would have said, the previous administration destroyed all of the evidence. And if somebody told me to say X, Y, or Z, here's the name of the person that told me to say X, Y, or Z about this. But the previous administration destroyed the evidence. We are tearing apart the J. Edgar Hoover building. We are tearing apart every FBI office across this country. We are tearing apart the DOJ, looking for the evidence that we all know exists, but it's been destroyed. And if there had been an inkling that part of the motivation or etc. could have been to protect Israel, then you would throw that in as well. What would this have done for Donald Trump? Would Donald Trump be in this pickle now? Nope. But Donald Trump had to have him some brown boys because that's what the white booby cuck population loves. They love them some brown boys because remember, it ain't skin, it's sin. So a white guy, think about how easy that would have been. You go right on Fox News, you go right out and you say, we've torn this place apart. We're going to keep looking. I'm going to personally keep marching from office to office, shaking down FBI employees to find out where this information is, where it could have gone. I'm going to recommend prosecutions to the DOJ because I cannot find the information. And if they would have come to me and said, oh, well, Epstein killed himself and the camera wasn't working, then I surely would not have gone out, a man of the West in Kashin Patel's role or Dan Bongino's role, come out and not said, oh, well, he definitely killed himself. Oh, yeah, I saw the photos after it was all done. He definitely killed himself. No, they would have come out and said, hey, these video cameras weren't working. Obviously, something was afoot. We're investigating. What is there to find? I believe he killed himself. But everything has been covered up. Everything is hidden. How would that have benefited Donald Trump? Donald Trump, as a consequence of these two brown boys, has a shit stain, not only on this period in office, but for life. This will follow him now and will mar the history of Donald Trump forevermore, participating in the cover-up of a pedophile, of a blackmail ring that everyone knows, everyone believes, I guess I should say, is fully orchestrated by Israel's Mossad. Everyone in D.C., as Tucker says, believes orchestrated by Mossad, that Donald Trump participated. That is a stain that's never going away. And then this fool decides to double down with a tweet, a post on Truth Social. What's going on with my boys? And in some cases, my gals. They're all going after the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And I'm going to tell you why that was inevitable. Maybe you know. And he says she's doing a fantastic job. And then he doubles down in this post by saying, why are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? He's the guy who never dies. It's been years. It's Epstein over and over. He was ratioed on his own platform with this post. And after this post, people started posting on multiple platforms, setting their MAGA gear on fire, their MAGA hats on fire, because it's despicable. I mean, he is ruining his reputation. And he would not have had to do that. He would not have made this colossal error if he hadn't found a couple of brown boys to fill these roles. But he had to get him some brown boys because the white boobies, the white cucks out there, they need some. It's not skin, it's sin. Give us some brown people. We don't care about race, but just give us the brown ones. Us cucks, we don't care at all what non-white race they are. You just put any non-white in front of me and I'll start watching and I'll start contributing and I'll start voting for them. I don't care what non-white race they are. Race doesn't mean anything to me. I'm blind. Unless it's white. Then I gain supernatural ability and I can see it and there's a problem with it. Why did they go after, why are they going, why did the conservative content creators get the bright idea to go after Pam Bondi? Why was that okay? She's white. They're brown. She's white and they're brown. Yeah, she's female. And she, therefore, is better than a white male. But she's still white. And they're brown. By the way, it's been confirmed, I heard, that neither one of the brown boys are going to leave if Pam Bondi is not fired. And if I were Donald Trump, I would be furious with those little bitches for trying to corner me and force me to fire someone. Are you fucking kidding me? I would say I'm on the verge of firing you for this. But ostensibly it's been confirmed that these brown guys aren't going anywhere. That's why they're making a big deal. And I want you to think about the illogic here before we go to our quick news and I take a look at what you all are saying. I see the great Dallas is pointing out that agent was ducking. And she was. You're absolutely right. She was like, I will surround Donald Trump, but I'm gonna get as low as I can because they won't be shooting for his kneecaps. They'll be shooting for his head and chest. But yeah, she's going to be lauded forever. She's already celebrated as like the best Secret Service agent to ever be a Secret Service agent. Because she didn't also run away like the other females. What were we talking? What was I just saying when I wanted to mention that? We're going to be getting to the quick news in just a moment here. But the illogic of the argument that can be made to white cucks and have white cucks agree is so stupefying that I think I've arrived at a new level of hatred for white cucks. I didn't think I could have a deeper contempt for them, but I think I got there. Because these conservative content creators like Megan and Benny and couple of others. They've come up with the bright idea of trying to protect Donald Trump by deflecting from him covering up the pedophile blackmail ring, blackmail black book, and operated by the Israeli Mossad. Most people seem to think, and I agree, is the most likely case. So to deflect from that, they're going to these conservatives and they're saying, hey, guys, this is all Pam Bondi's fault. If she had not been incompetent, this wouldn't have happened. If she had not shared that she had these pedophile videos, this wouldn't be a problem. And you see these white cuck audience, they're like, oh, yeah, you know what? This wouldn't have happened to Trump if that. She's right. Megyn is right. Except dipshits. Except that Pam is the main one, who revealed that the government does have the information that we fucking want. Why would you punish the one? Why would you have a problem with the one that said, I got tons of this material? We want to know about Epstein. We want the information. We want the people in power who were pedophiles or very, very young girl orgies and everything else. We want to know who they are so we won't have faith in them. We won't support them. We want them gone. We want them arrested if they've committed a crime. How would getting rid of the woman that said there's information, how would blaming and firing her benefit us at all? It is the most illogical shit I have ever heard. But I guess Megyn and the rest, they know that their white cuck audience is so brain dead, is so absolutely stolidly brain dead, that they could make an argument that illogical. None of this everything would be fine. Okay, so we come to this with, we want the truth about Epstein. We want the evidence. We want everybody punished who was involved. And if they can't be legally punished, we will socially punish them for their involvement. We want it all. And then the cucks come out and they say, guess what? The woman that said that there's evidence, yes, that was what we want. Yeah, she screwed all this up, so we should fire her. Yay! Let's do that. Fucking A. Fucking A. We live in Muppet Town. We live in Jem Henson's fucking Muppet Town. Literally, this level of stupidity. Let me take a quick look at what you all are saying. No, if anything, Megyn made this argument at TPUSA yesterday or day before yesterday, where she said, oh, well, Bongino and Cash and they never said that there was evidence once they were in office, although I think they did. I'm pretty sure Bongino gave an interview with Fox where he intimated the same thing as Pam Bondi. And then she says, oh, but Pam Bondi said there was evidence. Can you believe it? Yes, because we believe there is evidence. We believe Pam. And now if Pam is saying, well, there is no evidence, we don't think that she lied before because we believe there was evidence, Megyn. We agree with her. We think she's been silenced. No, this is the cucks deflecting. You know what they could still do? If they had white men instead of the two brown boys, they could still come out. A white guy could come out and cash in Patel's cross-eyed, like, what's wrong with this guy? I mean, how are you really going to pick somebody like this? But he's brown, Jason. You see how brown he is? Have you looked? He's freaking brown. He could still come out and say, look, mea culpa. You know, I came out and I said that Epstein absolutely killed himself. I shouldn't have said that. I didn't see adequate information for that. Look, just looking at pictures after, obviously, somebody could have gone in there and killed him. Maybe that's what happened. And when it comes to the evidence, I shouldn't have said there's absolutely no evidence. I haven't been able to. Here are the things I've done to find evidence. Haven't found any yet. Doesn't mean that there isn't any. But, and then use the argument that I used. I now believe that much or all of this information was destroyed by the previous administration. If he's ordered not to reveal Israel's participation in it, at least he could go far enough to, for Trump's interest, to protect Trump. To come in and say, well, the previous administration had destroyed all of this information. I believe that now is what happened. Because we all know the white cash-in Patel. We all know that Epstein was a pedophile. He had Pedophile Island, and there's just too much evidence. So they've destroyed it all. Why? I mean, why not do that? Instead, the two brown guys, they go in there with all of the claims that it's all true. Everything that we know is true. And then they sit there like little brown boys, as Trump says, with their hands clasped between their legs. And they're like, no, he didn't die by someone else's hand. He killed himself right on the verge of being acquitted because there's no evidence against him. So this has absolutely marred Trump's record forever. Let me take a quick look at what you all are saying. Tree Godfather, Peroxide Pam specifically said over 10,000 videos and 250 plus victims. Exactly. I believe her. Why wouldn't I? We all believed that, and we were all told, and researchers shared that tons of this information is held by the government. Like, what happened to all of the Kennedy? Why is it such a hard thing for the cucks out there to accept that the CIA destroyed the Kennedy files, all the ones that were relevant? The CIA and FBI destroyed all the MLK files and all that's right. But when it comes to Epstein, it's all of a sudden not that where you could say the previous administration or even the CIA or whatever. It's just now because Trump's in office. Now it can't be that these institutions are totally legitimate. Horse shit. They're totally legitimate. Are you joking? Yeah, so I completely believe that she came across all this information. I totally believe that she came across all the information that she alluded to or directly stated.